Hey there team, John here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing in our series DTR, in which we are talking about how to have better, healthier, more life-giving relationships. And today we're talking about love.
What is love? Baby, don't.
Now, in the English language, we get a whole lot of mileage out of our one word for love. And it can be pretty confusing. Like, I love my wife, but I also love my friends. And I love the Chicago Bulls, as terrible as they are to me. But I also love pizza. And it's always so good to me. So good. But of course, I don't love all four of these things in the same exact way. And most of us have gotten pretty good at understanding what exactly we mean by love based on the context. But just because you can understand that I don't love my wife in the same way that I love pizza, pizza is a close second. That doesn't mean that we have it all figured out. So many of us still have plenty of questions. How do you know when you're in love? How do you stay in love? What does it actually look like to be loving towards someone, toward a friend, toward a boyfriend or girlfriend, towards someone that you don't even like? What is love?
What is love?
Well, unlike English, Hebrew and Greek, which are the main two languages that the Bible was originally written in, have many words for love. Like storge, for example. This Greek word refers to affection, like how I feel about pizza, or a celebrity, or a certain color or smell. I love lavender. Then there's philia. Philia describes love between friends, or there's the Hebrew word for this, raya. There's eros, which describes romantic love, or dode, which talks about sexual or physical desire. Then there's agape, or in Hebrew, ahava. These words are often used to describe the type of love that God has for humanity. But it's important to note that this agape or ahava kind of love isn't completely separate than any other kind. God does feel a deep sense of affection or storge for his people. In fact, in Deuteronomy chapter 7, God's love for his people is translated as affection. God's love for his people also includes friendship. Like in the story of Abraham, we talked about last week how God makes a covenant with Abraham and calls him a friend of God. There's poems in the book of Song of Songs that use romantic love as a metaphor for the passion and pursuit that God has for his people. But one thing that makes God's love different and unique from any of these other types of love is that agape and ahava is not just an emotion that God feels, they're an action that God takes. God's love for us is not just a nice sentiment or a fleeting emotion. It is something that God does. In the Bible, we see God putting his love for his people to work by providing for them, by guiding them, by making a way for them through the waters and through the wilderness. And it is this kind of agape, ahava love that God calls us to imitate. Not only in our relationship to God, but to others as well. When Jesus is asked by the teachers of the law, what is the greatest commandment? Jesus replies, love the Lord your God with all of your heart and with all of your soul and with all of your mind and with all of your strength. And love your neighbor as yourself. And so the challenge for us is to imitate and translate that kind of love into our lives, not just in our faith, but also in our relationships to others. We reflect and represent the love of God well when we move from simply loving people just because we feel like it, to putting our love to work by serving them, by providing for them, by guiding them. And when we do this, when we put our love into action, it almost always proves to deepen our feelings of love as well. Whether those are feelings of affection, friendship, romantic kind of love, when we put love to work for the sake of others, it strengthens our bond to them. And so the first step to doing this is learning and knowing how God puts his ahava, his love, to work. And then saying, what would it look like for me to translate that kind of loving action into my life right here and right now? How can I provide for my friends' needs? How can I walk alongside a sibling when they're in a season of wilderness wandering? How can I be more sacrificial in my dating or marriage relationship with my partner? This is how we begin to experience and share the love of God with others in our relationships, by putting love to work. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching this video. If you would like perhaps a more guided exercise or practice for how to take the lesson in this video and apply it to your life, there is a download in the link in the description that'll sort of guide you through doing some reflection on what relationships in your life can you reflect the love of God a little bit more clearly. Also, I want to let you know, over on the Johncast, my podcast, you can hear another version of this lesson, but then also a conversation between my friend and mentor, Dave Hunter, and I. We talked about marriage and mentorship. I have been in relationship with Dave as a friend and a mentor for many years, and he is one of the wisest people I have ever met. It's a great conversation. I highly recommend that you check that out on the Johncast, wherever you get your podcasts. That is all I have for you this week. I will see you all next week for our final week in this DTR series. I love you all. Keep being awesome.